Today, we are going to get into the hidden psychology behind a habit that every single one of us has, whether we like to admit it or not: comparing ourselves to other people. You know that feeling, right? You're just mindlessly scrolling through your feed, and then bam, there it is. That little pang of envy, or maybe just inadequacy. You see someone's big promotion, their amazing vacation, that perfect family photo, and all of a sudden that little voice in your head starts up. It's a totally universal feeling, but here's the thing you have to know: it is not your fault. That's right. This isn't some personal weakness or a flaw in your character. Nope. It's actually a deep-seated biological process. It's been hardwired into our brains for literally thousands of years. Just think of it like your brain is running on some really, really ancient software in a super modern world. All right, so here's the game plan for this explainer. We're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk about the basic instinct itself. Then we'll dive into the ancient history, the evolutionary roots. After that, we'll look at how it gets totally hijacked in today's world. Then we'll figure out how to tell the difference between healthy and unhealthy comparison. And finally, the best part, we'll get some actual practical tools to break that negative cycle for good. Okay, so let's start with the absolute basics. What even is this instinct that seems to be running the show in our heads so often? At its very core, comparison is just how our brain tries to create a benchmark for itself. See, we don't have some kind of built-in meter that tells us if we're successful or happy. So what do? We look around at other people as a sort of measuring stick. It's really just how we figure out where we stand in the world. So why is using this measuring stick so important to our brains? Well, to get that, we need to go way, way back. Because this isn't some new thing that came with the internet. It's a key piece of our evolutionary software. So this instinct, it's really driven by three main things. First, that need for a reference point that we just talked about. Second, and this one is huge, it's an ancient survival tool that literally kept our ancestors alive. And third, and this is where it gets really interesting, this tool isn't neutral at all. It's actually biased in a very specific way. And this shows the shift perfectly. Think about it. Back in the day, your brain was constantly scanning your small tribe, asking things like, am I pulling my weight? Do people like me? Am I keeping up? Because if you got kicked out of the group, that was basically a death sentence. Fast forward to today, that exact same survival code is firing. But instead of a small tribe of 100 people, we're measuring ourselves against a massive, never-ending global digital feed. And that brings us to that bias I mentioned, which is this idea of upward comparison. I mean, think about it for a second. How often do you really compare yourself to people who are doing worse than you? It's pretty rare, right? Our brains are just naturally wired to look up, to focus on those who seem to have more, do more, or be more. It was supposed to be a tool for motivation, but in the modern world, it mostly just makes us feel like we're not enough. Okay, so we've got this ancient programming running in the background. But what happens when you take that old school survival instinct and plug it directly into the world of social media? Well, it gets hijacked. Big time. And this right here, this is the absolute core of the modern trap. You are painfully aware of your own struggles, your bad days, the messy reality of your life. But when you look online, what do you see? You only see the curated, filtered, absolute best moments of someone else's life. You're basically comparing your own raw, behind-the-scenes footage to their perfectly edited movie trailer. It's just not a fair fight from the get-go. And this mismatch creates a really nasty, vicious cycle. You see the highlight reel, and you immediately hold your own real life up against it. That just makes you feel like you're falling behind, which causes your confidence to take a nosedive. And what do we tend to do when our confidence is low? We go right back to scrolling, looking for another benchmark, and that loop just pulls tighter and tighter. But listen, it's not all doom and gloom, I promise. This instinct isn't just evil. Like any tool, really, it all comes down to how you use it. The real key is learning to spot when comparison is actually helping you and when it's just hurting you. So it all boils down to the internal question you ask yourself. The unhealthy mindset looks at someone else's success, and the immediate conclusion is, I'm a failure. I'm just not good enough. But the healthy mindset, it sees that same success and asks something totally different. Wow, that's really impressive. What steps did they take to get there? What can I learn from their journey that could maybe help me on my own? See the difference? One's a dead-end judgment, the other is a forward-looking strategy. Okay, so how do we actually make that shift, from the unhealthy to the healthy mindset? It all starts with consciously taking back control of where you put your focus. Here are 5 really practical shifts you can start making today. First up, just awareness, simply noticing when you're doing it. That's half the battle. Second, limit your exposure to whatever triggers you. Maybe it's a certain app or even a specific person's account. Third, and this is a game changer, change your benchmark. We'll get to that in just a second. Fourth, redefine what success actually looks like for you, not for some random person you follow online. And number five, actively practice gratitude. Shift your focus from what you think you're lacking to what you already have. This is such a simple but incredibly powerful reframe. Instead of constantly looking sideways at what everyone else is doing, just look backward at your own past self. Ask yourself, am I a little better or kinder or smarter than I was last year? That that is the only comparison that actually matters. It's the only race that truly measures your growth. And you know what? It's a race you can actually win. And that really brings us to the biggest takeaway of all. Look, you can't just turn off your brain's automatic impulse to compare. It's going to happen. It's natural. But, and this is a huge but, you absolutely have the power to decide what to do with that impulse. You do not have to let it dictate your self-worth. That part, that's a choice. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about. The next time you find yourself caught up in that spiral of comparison, just stop and ask yourself, whose race am I even running right now? Whose definition of a good life am I chasing? Because the moment you stop measuring your life against someone else's yardstick is the moment you can finally start living your own.